So, this is going well. It's a joke. I know we just sat down. But I'm sure it could be true, depending on where this conversation goes. I say we skip the usual boring first date questions and do something a little different. Because no offense, but I don't really care what your favorite color is or what you like to do on the weekends. I can figure that out if we start dating. I think to really know if you get along with a person or if you have the same values, you have to get into the nitty-gritty of things. Dig through arguments, debates, things like that. So, why don't we dive in to other people's arguments and see whose side we take? Let's see if we're on the same side. I think that would be the best indicator of whether we should go on a second date or not. Whether we morally agree on things. I know you don't have to agree with everything that your partner does, but I think it'll be insightful. What do you think? I say we look up some "Am I wrong?" posts, and we'll tell them if they're wrong or not. Or rather, we'll discuss it between ourselves. It'd be interesting to know or hear your take on things. I think. I think it'll prove what kind of a person you are to see how you think and feel about things. I think it'll tell me a hell of a lot more than you telling me what your favorite hobby is. Which, let me guess, involves either gaming or some sort of physical activity. Yeah, I thought so. Alright, let's do it then. Let's see whether we end up friend or foe. Are you ready? Turn your brain on. You'll need it. Alright, let's just go through them naturally. We don't have to pick out specifics. Here's one. Am I in the wrong for kicking my brother's long-term, 10 years, live-in girlfriend out of his house 3 months after he passed? Because I am next of kin. That's a pretty heavy title, isn't it? I guess I already have thoughts based on it, but we'll continue and see where it goes. The post says, my brother passed 3 months ago. We were not close. He did not like me. He did not have a will. So I am inheriting everything. With the property and house, it could come close to that. His girlfriend has lived with him for over 10 years and worked for his company. That is now closed and didn't take a paycheck. Our mom says they were not getting along and were going to break up, but haven't yet. Girlfriend was with him when he passed. She called us and I over 15 from the house. 2 months after he passed, giving her 1 month to be out with no money because she didn't take a paycheck from his company for working and their 2 dogs, and keeping telling her this person doesn't know how to write, telling her she leaves what? I will give her $20,000 and me keeping everything else. Let's reread that 1 second. If she leaves, I'm unsure if whether this person is saying that they gave her $20,000 for leaving, but I don't think they did. Anyway, what's your take on this? And then I'll tell you mine. I bet you can tell I already have some very, very harsh thoughts. Interesting. Interesting. No, your take is very interesting. My take is that this person is definitely in the wrong. He or she didn't even get along with their brother. This girlfriend has been in the brother's life for 10 years. I highly doubt they were going to break up. They were together for 10 years and he passed. It doesn't seem likely. She wasn't taking any money from the brother. She was just living comfortably in the home with their pets. And this person essentially made them all three, the 2 dogs and the girlfriend, homeless. And for what? Greed. The brother didn't even like this person. They weren't even in each other's lives. And now he's going to uproot someone who was in his brother's life. For what? Monetary gain. I think it's disgusting. I think it's abhorrent. Who would do that to someone? I think just because someone is family doesn't mean that they should get to make all the decisions. Although I'm confused why a 10-year life partner got nothing. I guess it's because it's the whole no will thing. Guess that goes to always have will. You never know what could happen. What if you and I got married? You passed, and suddenly your sibling took everything from me. Be devastated. Probably even a little resentful of you. Always, always take care of matters. Don't worry. If you and I were ever married, which, hey, it's still the first date, I would make sure you were covered in my will too. For reasons like this. Look what happened to this girl. I don't know what they were doing for those 10 years, but I'm sure they could have snuck in a will at some point. And by snuck in, I mean they could have worked together on one. Not sure why they didn't, but mostly I feel bad for the dogs. And I've got to be honest, 20,000, it's not that much, although it is was a nice offering. I don't know if they were saying they offered it or not, though. That process was very confusing toward the end. Definitely not someone who should be inheriting a whole man's estate, if you ask me. Maybe get your punctuation right before you inherit all that money. Let's do another one. This one says, am I in the wrong for not listening to a friend's 41-minute long voicemail? Long voice message. Okay, here it goes. I've had a friend who I've known for almost 2 years in school. Oh, 2+ years in school. And throughout the first year, he was always incredibly annoying. He was always calling me names, which I didn't really want to be called. He was really nosy. When once I was talking to my parents in a native language, he was using Google Translate camera mode to see what I was writing to them about. And whenever I visibly became angry and annoyed to something he did, he just laughed it off and just said I was just joking. I've found it hard to even call him a friend at points. In the second year, and now, he is still quite annoying, but it's less bad than he used to be. When I say less bad, that's like 20% less bad than he was. He also is known for sending extravagantly long voice messages as well. Once, when going on a school trip, he sent me like a 20-minute long voice message, which I spent most of the time on the bus there listening to, and honestly thought I wasted my time as he was randomly yapping about the EU and how cars didn't work or some baloney like that, which we have never talked to each other before about. Now, just before going on holiday, I was talking to him a little, and then he suddenly stopped. I saw he was sending a voice message. He hadn't really sent a voice message for a long while before that, and he kept going. After 40 minutes, I saw he sent a 41-minute gargantuan of a voice message. He told me some instructions before listening to it, like, please listen to everything, as I appreciate being listened to. I've been putting it off for 2 weeks now, as I just cannot be he asked to listen to him randomly talk about nothing relevant. Am I in the wrong? What do you think? Do you think he's in the wrong? Interesting. Interesting opinion. I personally don't think this person is in the wrong. I think 41 minutes is very excessive. That's asking a lot of someone's time. And I think it's quite selfish. If that person really had something important to say, wouldn't they just come and say it? Why did they take 41 minutes to say it in a voice message? I think I know why. Because in a voice message, there's no back and forth. So basically, this person just wanted to talk and tell him something he didn't want to talk to him. I think this person just likes talking and being listened to. That's why they send a 41-minute message instead of just talking to their friend outright. I wouldn't listen to a voice message personally. I have 41 minutes to spare for someone else's audience. To you, I would say delete the voice message, put it in the dark closet, pretend it was deleted. Or, like me, I would stay around and say, I'm not listening to them. If you have 41 minutes worth of something you want to tell me, you can tell me to my face. What about you? What would you do? Would you listen to it? Why do I get the feeling that you kind of would? Maybe I'm reading you wrong, but you seem somewhat like a people pleaser. Like if I sent you a 41-long-minute message, I bet you'd listen to it, wouldn't you? I just feel like it's a waste of time. Or that's it. I just can't think of a single scenario where a 41-minute message is worth it. Unless it was like the holes in the hospital and the doctor took the time to send you 41 minutes worth of diagnosis and advice on what to do about it. Or I suppose if you're a therapist and they send you a 41-minute long message explaining what they thought and what you needed from them, other than that, you know what that person was thinking. And to be quite honest, I highly doubt that if this person sent them a 41-minute long voice message back that they would listen to it. In fact, I think that would be the way to go. Rather than send, rather than respond to that 41-minute long message, they should call them back, make sure they get voicemail, and send a 41-minute long message back and see how the other person likes it. Just a thought. Are you ready to move on to the next one? I think we're getting to know each other quite well. Here it is. Am I in the wrong for slamming my boyfriend's friend's door? So, yesterday, Halloween, was the 3-year anniversary of my friend's crash. One of them passed away immediately. The other one was in the hospital for weeks. Anyway, I told my boyfriend that it was the 3-year anniversary. And he said, "Oh, Nothing close to an "Are you okay?" ever came out of his mouth. Fast forward a couple hours. One of his friends picks us up to go get food. On the way back, he's driving like a total lunatic, swerving in and out of traffic, going 80 on an interstate entrance ramp, screaming at people, etc. At some points, I yelled at him to stop driving like a lunatic because neither him or my boyfriend were wearing their seatbelts. When we finally get home, I got out of the truck and apparently slammed the door. I didn't mean to. I was just trying to get inside before they saw me crying. I was so frustrated and scared. I flopped down on the bed and just cried. A couple minutes later, my boyfriend walks inside and asks what's wrong in a very annoyed tone. I didn't answer at first because I don't want to be that girlfriend. That talks crap about my boyfriend's friends. So instead of sitting down or actually acting concerned, he just started to yell at me, saying that he could leave for the night and so on. He said he wanted to shower and didn't want to deal with it. It as in me. Well, I feel like I need to add, I live in his house. I knew he felt like I was disrespecting him, so I wasn't going to disrespect him more by making him leave his own house. So I packed a bag to go to my parents for the night. He must have gotten out of the shower just as I left, because he texted me, "Did you seriously leave?" So leaving's the answer now. I hadn't made it far at all. I stopped at the gas station, maybe 2 minutes from our house, to get gas. He made me feel like I didn't have a choice but to come back. So I did. By the time I got back, again, maybe 2 minutes, he's asleep and acts so bothered that I woke him up to talk. He ended up saying that I embarrassed him by putting him in that position with his friend and was making me seem like I'm the issue. I just don't know. Am I in the wrong? So what do you think? Is she in the wrong or is he in the wrong? Interesting, very interesting. Well, personally, if I'm gonna give my take on this, I would say she probably definitely slammed the door, because if you're frustrated and crying going to slam the door. I do feel as if her post was a little bit exaggerating, as in she seemed very, very victim mode while the others seemed to be villains in her story. I sort of highly doubt that she would have gotten into a car with two people not wearing seatbelts if it was the 3rd-year anniversary of her friend's tragic incident. I think she would have probably said, "Put on your seatbelts," instead of getting into a car where someone just happens to drive very erratically on the anniversary. It almost seems a little bit too coincidental. That said, here's what I think really happened. I believe that this person was very emotional because of the tragic event that unfolded 3 years ago. I feel like they wanted their boyfriend's sympathy, and because they didn't get it, they tried to draw attention to themselves or to be upset by anything other than what they were really upset about. I don't think she was that upset by the driving because I highly doubt that the person was as erratic as she was describing. I think because of that, she was extremely sensitive, which is understandable. And I feel like when she slammed the door, that's also not that big of a deal. I know some people might say it is, but we all throw a little tantrum sometimes. Anyway, I think when he came in to discuss it, I can see why he would be annoyed, but she was never honest with him. When he said, "You embarrassed me in front of my friends," first of all, I think the concept of being embarrassed in front of friends is a little ridiculous. Obviously, they live together, so they're not children or teenagers. They're clearly adults. And as an adult, why would you ever be embarrassed by another adult's behavior in front of a friend? That just seems a little juvenile, if you ask me. If you and I were dating, I can't see a scenario where I would be embarrassed by your behavior in front of my friend. Why would I be embarrassed by your behavior? That's your behavior, not mine. You would be embarrassed, not me. Anyway, I think what she should have done was she should have upfront told her boyfriend that she felt like her emotions were being neglected or dismissed. Obviously, she didn't want to at the time, but when they came to talk later, rather than just let him say, "You embarrassed me in front of my friend," she should have said, "I felt as if you weren't present for me today when I emotionally needed you, and that's why my emotions were off," which isn't an excuse, but it's a reason. Because I do feel like her major issue here is that she wasn't upfront with him. And now she feels, I guess, confused about her guilt because she doesn't know where it lies. And that's because I think deep down she knows that she carries some guilt for not being honest with him. And for throwing a tantrum about not getting the attention that she wanted. And I don't mean attention in a childish, brutish way. I mean attention in a she wanted her boyfriend's love and support and she didn't get it. And therefore she was a little unhinged that day. It's not his job to regulate her emotions, but I think it's his job as a boyfriend to be supportive of her emotions. I don't know why she wouldn't just, when he first told her, "Oh, what, did a memory pop up?" Why didn't she just say, "This is very serious to me"? Why didn't she just make it clear? Instead, she let the resentment build up until it exploded and became what it was. It just wasn't worth, if you ask me. That's why couples should always be upfront about what and how they feel. It's just not worth it to play games like you're not mad when you really are. I know sometimes it can be hard to, or even difficult, to express your emotions with someone because partners have the tendency to become annoyed when you sure you've probably experienced that yourself, right? Where something bothers you, but you can't say it because you know that the other person is going to react. I guess the word would be negatively. So you just sit on it, and then you become more upset. And then your whole vibe is off, and they notice, and it becomes worse. And then it ends up being addressed in a less controlled way. Whereas if you express it right away in a controlled manner, you have a little bit more say before it spirals. Although I know some partners act like if you tell them anything, they're just so burdened by it. I think that's one issue in relationships in general. People acting burdened by other people's problems. The whole reason that someone is sharing a problem with you in the first place is so they themselves are not completely burdened by it, weighing them down. They share it to take the load off so that the two of you can work through it together. If you don't, then they're just suffering by themselves. And I think partners who act very annoyed when you bring them an issue just prove that they don't really care about you all that much. Because if they did, they would be interested in solving the problem, not making it worse. And I do understand that sometimes if a partner comes to you with problems that you find to be minuscule, that they can be annoying. But I think if they were actually as minuscule as you believe them to be, then they would be easy to solve, and there's no need to shame someone for coming to you with an issue. Because it makes your partner not want to come to you with anything at all. What do you think? I just think people need to be more open and more receptive, and I think people need to learn to work together rather than against each other. I think typically when someone brings another partner an issue, they become defensive. And they feel like the problem is accusatory and it's against them. And then they put up their dukes and fight. I don't think that's the answer. I think if your significant other comes to you with an issue, you need to address it together and work on it and fight the problem, not each other. For instance, my first date here, if I came to you, let's say, I guess I'll say as a girlfriend because you would probably have no obligation or no desire to solve anything if I wasn't. But let's say I came to you as your girlfriend and I told you something small, oh, when you went grocery shopping, I saw that you only bought the soda that you like and not the soda that you know I drink too. I was a little annoyed because it felt like you didn't give me anything to drink and I always bring you drinks. How would you respond? But keep in mind in this scenario, I also, in this scenario, would always buy you drinks that you drink too. So something we both like. How would you respond? Okay, interesting. I would say that a proper response if someone came at me like that, I would say, wow, I wasn't even thinking. I was just getting what I liked. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that I did. But it was nothing personal. I just wasn't thinking. As stupid as that argument is, as stupid as you may feel it would be that someone got hurt that you didn't think of them in a moment, it's still a moment where they got hurt. And it's just so easy to just say, wow, sorry I wasn't really thinking of you at that time. But I understand. Just, it's as simple as that. People just want to be acknowledged for how they feel. Does that make sense? I think some people also just have trouble regulating their emotions. hardest to deal with, is it? Let's find another one. Am I in the wrong for excluding one of my friends because he kept disrupting my plans to set up another friend? So I, 23 female, met my boyfriend David, 24 male, 2 years ago and became close with his friends. David has two best friends, Marcus, 24, and Tom, 23. They go way back to high school, where they ran track together. Marcus and Tom are completely different types of people. Marcus is more reserved, but Tom is the center of attention at parties and really outgoing. He also has had a lot of girlfriends, but we have given up on getting to know them, as he always finds some reason to break up with them a day or two later. So, a couple of weeks ago, I asked my boyfriend why I had never seen Marcus bring around any of his girlfriends. I was surprised when he told me he never had a girlfriend. He also told me not to tell him I knew, as he is ashamed of it and is a very private person. This surprised me because Marcus is a handsome, athletic guy. I also have never noticed him having any trouble socially. He is good friends with many people and is easy to hang out with. I told my boyfriend this, and he said that he gets anxious when approaching women and keeps making excuses not to. So I told my boyfriend if I was going to try to set him up with one of my friends. So I told my boyfriend I was going to try to set him up with one of my friends. I talked to a girlfriend I knew was into him, and 5 of us the next day. Everything was going great until Tom joined us. Half an hour later, Tom didn't know anything about my plan, but it frustrated me that he took over the conversation and eventually left with the girl. An hour later, I then sent Tom a private message telling him what I was trying to do, and he was very understanding. But the following weekend he did it again. I tried talking to him about it, but he downplayed the situation. Eventually, I decided not to invite Tom. I invited a coworker, and we went with just the 4 of us. They had a great time, and I made him get her Snapchat. We went out again the following weekend, and she told me they had been talking on Snapchat every day for a week and that she liked him. Eventually, with many hints from me and my boyfriend, he asked her out. And they are going on their second date this weekend. So here is where I could be in the wrong. Tom made a private CG with just me and my boyfriend and told us that he felt excluded the last couple of weeks. I told him I was sorry, but he knew what we were trying to do. But he was actively messing things up. He sent me a long text telling me it was not his fault she liked him, and that he could not force her to like Marcus. How uncomfortable he was with my weird obsession with trying to get Marcus liked. Oh, trying to get Marcus laid, even to the point of excluding him. I told him that it was not my problem. He couldn't keep it in his pants in check for one night, and that I could invite whoever I wanted, and blocked him on everything. My boyfriend agrees with me, but he thinks I'm being too harsh on Tom, as he is just being Tom, and has no bad intentions. Now I'm doubting myself if I made a mistake. Okay. So, I also think it's kind of childish that he invited her to a group chat with her boyfriend just to scold her. And personally, if that situation ever happened with me, I would expect my boyfriend to stand up for me, because that's a little bit ridiculous to say that I have a weird obsession with trying to get someone liked just because I'm trying to help a friend out. You know what I mean? I'm sure if she was trying to set Tom up, he'd be perfectly content with that. But because it's not about Tom, it's not okay. And I don't think she was harsh with Tom at all. If he was rude to her, I think it's fine that she blocked him. Anyway, her boyfriend's cool for agreeing with her, but telling her that she needs to ease up because Tom is just Tom is exactly why Tom is Tom. Because he's being enabled, and nobody ever tells him anything. Anyway, I'm glad that Marcus finally got a girl in this story. But there is one funny kind of comment. It says, so wait, let me get this straight. On multiple occasions, you've tried to set Marcus up with women, and these women have agreed to this. And then both have left with a different dude than the one they knew they were being set up with. Girl, I think you need to recognize that you're not very But you're acting like these first two women had absolutely no control over their own actions. Like Tom waved his magic, you know what, at them, and they just did what he said. Tom was doing Marcus a favor by weeding out the types of women who would drop him the second and easier option walks by. When he said it was not his fault she liked him, and that he could not force her to like Marcus, he was right. He couldn't force them to like Marcus. Yes, he was also in the wrong for his role in the situation. But quit acting like your friends were helpless victims. You should be upset with them too. I am gonna say you're not in the wrong though. It sounds like it's working out with Marcus and your friends. And Tom really was just thinking about himself. But the first two women you invited were only thinking about themselves, so is he really that bad? And then the OB responded, I should have been more clear about this. I never told my friends I was setting them up with Marcus. I agree I'm not good at this. I just wanted them to meet and subtly encourage them to get to know each other. And then someone else said, Tom on a burner account. I thought so too. But in regards to that comment, I would say this guy seems upset that the girl isn't upset with her friends, but I think he's missing the point. The point isn't that the girls are the villains because they didn't like Marcus, although I would agree that they have their own free agency. The whole entire point is that the girl was trying to introduce Marcus to some girls, okay? So if she's trying to introduce Marcus to some girls because Marcus doesn't get to talk to a lot of girls, then why is Tom trying to take the attention away and make the girls look at him? Here's the thing. It's kind of like you have two options, right? There's a really charming guy and there's a really the problem is the girls wouldn't know that's her issue. Like, it's to me before, if I'm being honest. I tried to send a friend up. She was very shy. And I knew this guy would like her. I tried to set them up, but then my other friends, was a guy, so I was trying to set up with my other friends. And of course, she's going to was a pretty girl. As she's showing more interest in a more visible way. The shy girl did like him, but she wasn't expressing it like the outgoing girl. Which is why people take the time to set up friends, because in social by isolating two people and giving them Marcus can't. Why this girl was setting up Marcus with her friends. She was trying to give him a better chance. But even with a better chance, he kept wanting the attention. Here's what I think. If Tom was a good friend and he was really Marcus's friend, I think he would say, I'm not going to go out on this outing. I'm going to let this girl get to know Marcus. And then he could just come around later once they've already established a connection. I don't see why he has to come around first. What do you think? Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. See, this is why I would rather have conversations like this than just asking you your hobbies. I feel like I've delved into your brain a little bit here, and I feel like we've got to know each other quite a bit well. So, I think we have a better understanding of who we are as people and whether we want to see each other again. So, if you would like to see me again, just say you would like to see me again. And if you don't, well, it was nice meeting you and getting to know your opinions. And if you'd like to stay friends, I think I'm open to that. But if you would like to get to know each other potentially better on a second date, I'd be willing to have another conversation with you. I had quite a bit of wine now, so if I'm a little stuttery, it's understandable, I think. Anyway, I've enjoyed